Are you taking your vitamins every morning, eating what you believe are brain-healthy foods, yet still walking into rooms and forgetting why you're there? Still struggling to recall names, losing track of conversations mid-sentence, or watching your mental sharpness fade despite doing everything the doctors recommend? What if I told you that the foods most experts associate with brain health aren't addressing the real reason your memory is slipping? Here's what's actually happening inside your brain while you sleep. Brain health isn't about loading up on supplements or eating more fish oil. It's about understanding a hidden biological process that happens every single night while you're asleep. A process that either repairs your brain or allows damage to accumulate. And what you eat in the morning directly determines which direction that process goes. This insight didn't come from health influencers or supplement companies. It came from Nobel Prize-winning neuroscience. Over the last 2 decades, researchers studying brain aging, memory consolidation, and neuroplasticity uncovered something extraordinary. The sharpest minds in their 80s and 90s don't just eat differently, they eat strategically. Their diets quietly activate internal repair mechanisms that clear toxic proteins from the brain, strengthen neural connections, protect against inflammation, and keep memory systems functioning at full capacity. And it all centers around what happens during sleep and what you eat when you wake up. This matters because memory loss is not inevitable. It's the result of accumulated cellular damage. Beta amyloid plaques building up in your hippocampus. Oxidative stress attacking your neurons. Chronic inflammation disrupting the signals between brain cells. A sluggish glymphatic system failing to clear metabolic waste overnight. These hidden mechanisms quietly sabotage your memory long before you notice anything is wrong. Stop those processes and something remarkable happens. Your brain begins repairing itself. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Think of your brain like a busy city. Every day, waste accumulates. Damaged proteins, dead cell fragments, toxic metabolic byproducts. If the sanitation system stops running, the city doesn't collapse immediately, but gradually streets clog, systems slow, infrastructure fails. Brain aging works exactly the same way. That overnight cleanup system is called the glymphatic system. And here's what most people don't realize. It only operates at full capacity when you're in deep sleep. During those slow wave sleep cycles, cerebrospinal fluid washes through your brain tissue, flushing out beta amyloid proteins, tau tangles, and oxidative debris that accumulated during the day. In fact, during deep sleep, the space between your brain cells expands by up to 60%, allowing this waste removal system to function efficiently. Miss that deep sleep or fail to support the cleanup process properly, and those toxic proteins stay lodged in your brain, year after year, decade after decade, until they interfere with the very neurons responsible for forming and retrieving memories. This is why poor sleep is one of the strongest predictors of Alzheimer's disease. But here's where it gets interesting. What you eat in the morning has a direct impact on how well this system worked the night before, and how effectively it will work the following night. The foods you choose at breakfast send powerful molecular signals throughout your brain and body. Some foods enhance the repair process. They reduce inflammation, stabilize blood sugar, provide the building blocks for neurotransmitter production, and protect your neurons from oxidative damage. Other foods, even ones marketed as healthy, do the opposite. They spike your blood sugar, trigger inflammatory cascades, disrupt your circadian rhythm, and actually interfere with the very brain repair mechanisms you need most. In this video, I'm going to reveal 3 specific morning foods that neuroscientists and longevity researchers have identified as the most powerful for sharpening memory and supporting overnight brain repair. These aren't exotic superfoods, they're not expensive, and they work by activating your body's natural healing systems. Most importantly, timing matters just as much as the food itself. Because when you eat these foods determines whether they support or sabotage your brain's ability to clean and repair itself. And if this kind of root cause, science-first approach to brain health resonates with you, consider subscribing. I share insights like this regularly to help you take control of your cognitive health naturally. Here's what's really going on inside your aging brain. And this is where most people get brain health completely backwards. For decades, we were told that preserving memory was about eating more omega-3s, taking ginkgo biloba, and doing crossword puzzles. Keep your brain stimulated, take the right supplements, avoid fats. But Nobel Prize-winning research on neuroplasticity and sleep-dependent memory consolidation revealed something radically different. Your brain doesn't stay sharp when life is easy. It stays sharp when it's challenged just enough and given the resources to rebuild overnight. Let me explain what happens during sleep that directly affects your memory. When you enter deep, non-REM sleep, particularly those slow wave cycles in the first half of the night, your hippocampus and cortex engage in a process called memory consolidation. Everything you learned, every experience you had, every conversation you participated in gets replayed. Neural pathways strengthen, weak connections prune away. Important information transfers from temporary storage into long-term memory. This isn't passive rest. It's active reconstruction. At the same time, during REM sleep later in the night, your brain processes emotional memories, integrates new information with existing knowledge, and creates new neural connections. Studies using brain imaging have shown that the exact same neural patterns that fire during learning reactivate during REM sleep. Your brain is literally practicing and solidifying what it learned. Without adequate REM sleep, that consolidation never happens. The memory simply doesn't stick. Now here's the critical connection most people miss. Both of these sleep-dependent repair processes require specific raw materials. Your brain needs amino acids to rebuild synaptic proteins. It needs omega-3 fatty acids to maintain the integrity of neural membranes. It needs antioxidants to protect against the oxidative stress that occurs during intense metabolic activity. And it needs stable glucose levels to fuel the entire process without triggering inflammation. What you eat at breakfast directly supplies or depletes these resources. But here's the twist. It's not about eating more of everything. It's about eating the right things at the right time to support a 24-hour cycle of activity and repair. Long-lived populations with the lowest rates of dementia don't eat constantly. They eat strategically. They give their bodies long overnight fasting windows, then break that fast with foods that stabilize energy, reduce inflammation, and provide the precise nutrients their brains need. Let me give you a practical framework you can use immediately. Research shows that after an overnight fast of 12 to 14 hours, your brain is primed for nutrient uptake. Your insulin sensitivity is at its peak. Your body has completed most of its cellular cleanup through a process called autophagy. This is the ideal metabolic state for introducing foods that support brain function. But most people ruin this advantage by starting their day with refined carbohydrates and sugar. A muffin, a bagel, sweetened yogurt, orange juice. These foods spike your blood sugar, trigger an insulin surge, shut down fat burning, and create an inflammatory cascade that persists for hours. Your brain doesn't function well in that state. Blood sugar crashes lead to brain fog. Insulin resistance interferes with memory formation. Inflammation damages the blood-brain barrier, and the cycle repeats tomorrow morning when you eat the same breakfast. This is why many seniors feel mentally sharpest first thing in the morning before they eat. Then that clarity fades an hour after breakfast. It's not aging, it's blood sugar dysregulation. Now let's talk about the 3 morning foods that work with your biology instead of against it. The foods that genuinely support brain repair and memory consolidation. Number 1, eggs. Specifically, whole eggs with the yolk. And here's why. Eggs are one of nature's richest sources of choline, a nutrient that 90% of Americans don't get enough of. Choline is the direct precursor to acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter absolutely critical for memory formation and recall. Your hippocampus, the brain structure responsible for creating new memories, depends on acetylcholine to function properly. Studies have found that higher choline intake correlates with better memory performance and reduced risk of cognitive decline in older adults. But here's what makes morning eggs particularly powerful. When you eat eggs for breakfast, you're providing your brain with a complete protein source that stabilizes blood sugar for hours. No spike, no crash, just steady, sustained energy. This keeps your brain in an optimal metabolic state. The yolk also contains lutein and zeaxanthin, 2 antioxidants that protect your brain cells from oxidative damage. Research published in neurological journals has linked higher egg consumption with better cognitive performance and slower rates of brain atrophy in seniors. The timing matters too. Eating eggs in the morning, after your overnight fast, ensures that the amino acids and choline are available when your brain is most receptive. Your neurons are rebuilding synaptic connections damaged during yesterday's activity. They need those building blocks now, not later in the day when metabolic processes have shifted. 2 to 3 whole eggs in the morning provide approximately 250 to 375 milligrams of choline. That's more than half the daily recommended intake for adults. Scramble them with vegetables. Make an omelette. Boil them the night before for convenience. The method doesn't matter as much as the consistency. Number 2, blueberries. And not just any berries, wild blueberries specifically, though cultivated blueberries still offer significant benefits. Here's what researchers have discovered. Blueberries contain compounds called anthocyanins, a type of flavonoid that crosses the blood-brain barrier and accumulates in brain regions involved in learning and memory. These compounds do something extraordinary. They reduce oxidative stress and inflammation in the hippocampus, while simultaneously promoting the growth of new neurons through a process called neurogenesis. Studies on older adults with mild cognitive impairment showed that consuming blueberries daily for 12 weeks resulted in improved memory performance and increased activation in brain regions associated with memory processing. The participants literally showed better brain function on imaging scans. Not because of some drug or therapy, because of berries. The mechanism involves multiple pathways. Anthocyanins improve communication between neurons by enhancing synaptic plasticity. They protect against the accumulation of tau proteins and beta amyloid plaques. They improve cerebral blood flow, ensuring your brain receives adequate oxygen and nutrients. But here's the strategic element. Eating blueberries in the morning provides those protective compounds throughout the day when your brain is most metabolically active and vulnerable to oxidative stress. Think of it as preventive maintenance. You're reducing the damage that would otherwise accumulate, which means your glymphatic system has less waste to clear out overnight. That's the brilliance of this approach. You're simultaneously preventing damage during the day and supporting repair at night. A serving of about 1 cup of blueberries or 3/4 of a cup of wild blueberries provides this benefit. Add them to Greek yogurt. Blend them into a smoothie with eggs and nut butter. Eat them fresh. The flavonoids are heat stable, so frozen berries work just as well as fresh. Consistency is what matters. 5 to 7 servings per week shows measurable cognitive benefits in research studies. Number 3, walnuts, particularly in the morning. Among all nuts, walnuts stand out for brain health for one critical reason. They're uniquely rich in alpha-linolenic acid, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that your body can partially convert into DHA, the structural fat that makes up a significant portion of your brain tissue. DHA is essential for maintaining the integrity of neural membranes, improving signal transmission between neurons and protecting against neuroinflammation. Research from UCLA linked higher walnut consumption to improved cognitive test scores in adults of all ages, with particularly strong effects in older adults. The omega-3 content reduces inflammation throughout the body, including in the brain. This is critical because chronic low-grade inflammation, even inflammation you can't feel, damages neurons over time and contributes to cognitive decline. Walnuts also contain vitamin E, polyphenols, and melatonin, all of which support brain health through complementary mechanisms. But the timing of walnut consumption matters more than most people realize. Eating walnuts in the morning provides your brain with these protective fats when it's most metabolically active. Your neurons are firing constantly throughout the day, generating oxidative stress as a byproduct. The antioxidants in walnuts neutralize that stress in real time. Additionally, the healthy fats in walnuts slow the absorption of any carbohydrates you eat with them, preventing blood sugar spikes and maintaining steady brain energy. A handful of walnuts, roughly 1 ounce or 7 whole walnuts, provides about 2.5 grams of alpha-linolenic acid. Chop them and sprinkle over eggs. Add them to oatmeal with blueberries. Eat them whole as part of your morning meal. The combination of healthy fats, protein, and fiber keeps you satiated for hours while continuously delivering brain protective compounds. Now let's connect all 3 foods together and understand why this combination is more powerful than any individual component. When you start your morning with eggs, blueberries, and walnuts, you're creating a metabolic environment optimized for brain function and repair. The protein and healthy fats from eggs and walnuts stabilize your blood sugar, preventing the inflammatory spikes that damage neurons. The choline from eggs provides the raw material for acetylcholine production, enhancing memory formation throughout the day. The omega-3s from walnuts reduce neuroinflammation and maintain neural membrane integrity. The anthocyanins from blueberries protect against oxidative stress and promote neuroplasticity. This combination works synergistically. The fats from eggs and walnuts improve the absorption of the fat-soluble antioxidants in blueberries. The stable blood sugar prevents the cortisol surges that would otherwise interfere with memory consolidation. And the timing, eating these foods in the morning after an overnight fast, ensures your brain receives these nutrients when it's most receptive. But here's what makes this approach even more powerful. These 3 foods also support the quality of your sleep that night. The anti-inflammatory effects reduce nighttime cortisol levels. The stable blood sugar prevents the 3 a.m. wake-ups caused by hypoglycemia. The nutrients support the production of melatonin and other sleep-regulating neurotransmitters. Better sleep means more efficient glymphatic clearance. More efficient clearance means less toxic buildup. Less toxic buildup means better memory and slower cognitive aging. This is the cycle that populations with low rates of dementia naturally follow without even realizing it. They eat simple, nutrient-dense foods at consistent times. They maintain long overnight fasting windows. They prioritize sleep, and their brains reward them with sharp memory and clear thinking well into old age. You can implement this starting tomorrow morning. 2 to 3 whole eggs, 1 cup of blueberries or 3/4 cup of wild blueberries, 1 ounce of walnuts. Prepare them however you prefer. The only non-negotiable elements are consistency and quality. Eat these foods most mornings. Give your body at least a 12-hour overnight fast, meaning if you eat dinner at 7, don't eat breakfast until 7 the next morning. Stay hydrated throughout the day. Prioritize 7 to 8 hours of sleep. This isn't a quick fix. You won't notice dramatic changes after one breakfast. But research shows measurable improvements in memory performance after 12 weeks of consistent dietary patterns like this. Brain imaging studies reveal reduced inflammation markers and improved neural connectivity after several months. The glymphatic clearance system functions more efficiently. Oxidative stress decreases. Neural communication improves. And your subjective experience of mental clarity and memory sharpness gradually returns. This is how you support your brain's natural ability to repair itself, not through expensive supplements that may or may not work, not through medications with side effects, through the strategic use of whole foods that activate your body's built-in healing mechanisms. Foods that reduce inflammation during the day and support repair at night. Foods that provide the exact nutrients your neurons need to maintain their structure and function. Your brain has an extraordinary capacity for resilience and repair, even in your 70s and 80s. Neuroplasticity, the formation of new neural connections, continues throughout life. Neurogenesis, the birth of new neurons, persists in critical memory centers like the hippocampus. The glymphatic system clears waste every night if you support it properly. But these processes require the right raw materials at the right times. Eggs, blueberries, and walnuts in the morning. 12-hour overnight fasting windows. 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep. That's the foundation. Simple, accessible, scientifically validated. Not because these are magical foods, but because they work with your biology rather than against it. They stabilize the metabolic chaos that most modern diets create. They reduce the inflammatory burden that damages your brain. They provide the nutrients your repair systems need to function optimally. Start tomorrow. Track how you feel after 2 weeks. Notice your mental clarity at 10 a.m. Notice whether you remember conversations more easily. Notice if that afternoon brain fog lifts. The changes are subtle at first, then compound over time. Because you're not just eating breakfast, you're supporting a 24-hour cycle of protection and repair that determines whether your brain ages slowly or rapidly. This is the science that populations with exceptional longevity have followed instinctively for generations. Now you can apply it deliberately, with full understanding of the mechanisms involved. Your memory doesn't have to fade. Your mental sharpness doesn't have to decline. Not if you give your brain what it actually needs to heal itself overnight and function optimally during the day.